Welcome to Dialysis Unfiltered, real talk about life on dialysis, transplant, and everything in between. Each week, we share honest stories, hard truths, and helpful tips from lived experiences. Just a heads up, we're not medical professionals. Everything shared here comes from our own journeys. This means to make sure to always check with your care team or doctors for actual medical advice or treatments. So, let's grab your seats, start your sessions, and let's plug in. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Dialysis Unfiltered. It's your host here, Thiz. I have Nick, aka Pathling, here with me. Say what's up.
What's up?
And we're back this week, and we're just gonna, kind of freeball it this week, and we're just gonna talk about a bunch of stuff, anything regarding the news with kidneys, kidney failure, what they're working on behind the scenes, and, just random stuff, just to kind of keep you interested, and also maybe learn something new. So, let's get it started. So, Nick, how's your week been going so far? Anything kidney stuff going on, or anything like that?
Thankfully, nothing kidney related going on, but I do have a surgery later this week.
Oh,
It
okay.
is what it is.
What's the surgery?
So it's like some little spot on my back that kind of like goes in a little bit. It's actually from like a kidney getting my original birth kidney removed like 30 years ago,
Oh, wow.
and so it's now causing some issues and kind of gets inflamed and whatnot. It was kind of like where they like cinch up the space and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's kind of like reopening some, and so I don't want it to get infected, so like they're gonna go in and they're gonna like cut out whatever it is, stitch me
Mm-hmm.
back up, and it goes like roughly 3 centimeters deep probably.
Oh,
So
wow.
like there's like a track there for that,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
yeah, that's later this week. And what about you?
Well, I got my 1 year, what is it, 1 year, 2 months, uh, post checkup, I guess. We're still going every 3 months, 3 or 4 months, I forgot. But I'm getting checked up the 20th of this month. So hopefully once I get there, everything's good. But I'm going to bring up the fact that I've been noticing actually since the start of the transplant, probably like a month or two, and I brought it up with the team, but they tell me the labs are great. They don't see anything,
Mm,
but I've been noticing that I've been urinating and I've been seeing like foam in my urine, which,
yeah.
a lot of people know that's called proteinuria. Is that how it is called? Proteinuria? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or not, but basically it's just when you pee, you have foam, and usually before you get a transplant or before you get kidney failure, it kind of lets you know, hey, something's wrong. Your kidneys are fucking up, right? But it's been a year, like I said, a year and 2 months now, and everything. My labs are fine. They tell me they don't see any, excessive protein leak in it. So, but it's one of those things where even post transplant, little things like that, it worries you because the first thing that you start thinking is, shit, my kidneys are gonna fail, right? Especially when you're so
Yeah.
fresh out of it, everything kind of like makes you on edge, right? So hopefully when I get there, they tell me, hey, stop freaking out, you're fine. You've been fine for the whole year. You're over that hard, bump in the road already. And now it's kind of just like maintenance, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully good news coming up. I make sure I drink. So my fluid a day,
Okay.
64, 72 ounces a day that I drink. And hopefully I was reading on the internet, which I recommend not for people to do. Go on Google and search up these things
Yeah.
because the first thing that it tells you is like, oh yeah, your kidneys failing, or if you keep on urinating foam, that means that your kidneys are going to give out because it gets worse before it gets better, kind of type of deal. So
Yeah.
we'll see what goes on. But what about
Just gonna look at your creatinine on that one.
yeah, well, it's always
For a
low.
second.
Yeah, my creatine is always like,
Yeah.
low. It's always like 1.2, 1.1, which for me is
Yeah.
normal. I know a lot of people, and my GFR is always like 87, 85, 86, in the high 80s. Um, and I know a lot of people, some people have like their GFRs like at 100, or like I've heard people say like 300 or some shit. I don't know how real that is, but you know, um, I know I was told by like the nephrologist and like the surgeons there,
Mhm.
that it's the GFR levels and the creatine levels really reflect kind of like taking the kidney of somebody that might have been smaller or different, a lot of different things than you, and it kind of gets
Mhm.
put into you, and then those numbers get kind of like averaged out to what you are. So if, for example, the person that I got the kidney from was a smaller person than me, I'm 6'3", 240 now.
Yeah.
If they were like 130 pounds, 5'7", that kidney is going to have to work a little bit more, and it's going to have to do a little bit more work. So those numbers go down a little bit, but it doesn't mean that the kidney's not doing its job, right? It just means that
Yeah.
it's putting a little bit more work. So, after they told me that, I was feeling a little better after those numbers, because I know some people might be hearing and they're like, oh, why is his GFR 87 and he's only a year post, or his creatine is 1.1, 1.2, and mine is always like 1 or 0.8 or stuff like that. But just a reminder for anybody listening who might think the same. It's okay. Your numbers are fine. It doesn't
Hearing you
matter.
say that, mine looks horrible in comparison.
Yeah. See, but how long have you had that transplant?
So, yesterday was my 2-year anniversary.
Gotcha. And what
Yeah.
numbers do you have, if you don't mind talking about it?
So my creatine level was 1.8,
Uh-huh.
and that's about literally the lowest it's been since I've had it.
Okay.
It it kind of settled within the first 6 months around like 2.1, 2.2.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then my GFR sits on this past one was around 51,
Uh-huh.
which is moderate for, based on, numbers.
Yeah.
Um, it's always, I think the highest I've seen it was maybe like 60. Nope, nope, nope. I lie. Within the past little bit, the highest it's been is 55. The lowest it's been is 43.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
it fluctuates for me heavily. Like it'll go back up really well, then it'll drop, then it'll go back up a little bit,
Have they
then
ever
it'll
told
drop.
you why it gets influenced like that? Is it, anything
Uh
they've told you or
not
concerns?
not. I think they think it's because like just getting like a cold or something like that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, even protein levels in my urine is 17 right now,
Mm-hmm.
based on past blood work, which is high, mind you. But the lowest it hasn't been in good ranges, which good ranges are under 12 milligrams per DL. I guess that's deciliter.
Yeah.
Um, since December of last year, to
Okay.
put that in perspective,
But those
and it's
numbers,
been high.
those numbers that you mentioned, were those numbers like even from the start, they were around that range too, you said?
It fluctuates. It's like it's the craziest thing. It heavily fluctuates
Mm-hmm.
every single time I walk in. If everything's perfect, I'm dying. That's the thing I go with now. Um,
Everything's good. That means I'm
because at this
dying.
point, yeah, that's about where I'm at right now. Because they can't even they can't figure it out. They're just like, they even did a biopsy like
Yeah.
a month or two ago,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, we're just gonna keep an eye on it, and then if it goes up a little bit in the next 3 months, we'll just come back in and do another biopsy. I'm like, all
Hmm.
right, all
So,
right, all right.
so if you can,
That's
well, go ahead, finish before I ask you this
I
next
was like,
question.
that's not really a good way to sit here and figure something out, but all righty, all
Not good.
right.
So I know in the Discord community, make sure to join it, guys, if you're listening. Uh, people, I think there's been several people getting biopsies lately, especially post transplant. And I don't know if it's a myth, or I don't know if people are just, I don't know because I haven't had one. But just in case I do, since you've had one, do you know that
Yeah.
it's true that whenever they do a biopsy, does it damage the kidney?
Technically, yes, because like you're putting a needle into the kidney to pull out a sample. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's like you're doing coring work on like soil or concrete to sit here and like figure out if the concrete's good or the soil's good to like build like a wind turbine on or something like that. Like
Gotcha.
same basic concept.
Okay.
You being from Texas, I knew that would kind of correlate there. And so
We like drilling.
right. So like you have to have a sample of the earth. So like there's a hole there now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to patch itself up, but there's still going to be a hole there. And
Yeah.
so every time you get a biopsy, you're quote unquote damaging the kidney a little bit.
Gotcha.
Um, but you have to do a little bit of it just to and figure out what's going on, so they can like proactively move the shift and fix the problem. Does it hurt? Not really. I don't really feel it. I mean, truth be told, they gonna kind of give you a little loopy medicine. You're gonna be chilling. I mean, I've gone through an entire album of comedian jokes while I've been in there. We were having a great time. I don't remember any of it. I don't remember telling the jokes, but I've been
Oh.
there, done that before. Um, and so like it's a quick thing. It's and they take like a really big. At least my hospital did. I guess every hospital is a little different. They take
Gotcha.
like a really big um thing. Like they clean off the site. They find out where they're going. They make sure they're not going to hit any like arteries or veins or anything, because they got to check that out with ultrasound and X-rays and stuff like that. And then they literally take like this big old like gun coring sample machine, and they just put it on top of your body and like put it in place,
Mm-hmm.
and they like pull the trigger and it goes
Boop.
and like
Takes a
snatches some
chunk.
out of you
It's
real
like,
quick.
gimme, mine. Yoink.
Yeah, yeah, it just like it literally like injects like a needle into you and pulls out a sample.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, it's not that bad. They'll numb
Yeah.
everything up and whatnot.
Yeah, because I know every
Honest to
single
God, numbing hurt worse than anything else.
because I know a lot of people. I mean, that's their biggest concern whenever they get something done to their kidneys. The first thing they think is like, "Oh, is my kidneys going to get damaged, or are they going to get fucked up?" You know, stuff like that. So, at least we know now. You know, the right answer or the true answer. You know, from somebody that's had it. But I was kind of going on to another subject. I was reading some new stuff actually regarding kidney disease and kidney research and stuff like that. And I'm looking right now on the website, and there's a gene editing breakthrough for rare kidney disease, and it says Yoltech. Now, excuse me if I'm going to butcher some of these pronunciations of these. I'm not a scientist. Sometimes I barely can speak English, but it says that Yoltech Therapeutics launched the world's first in vivo CRISPR gene editing trial, which is trial YOLT 203. And what it does is that it targets primary hyper what is this, oxaloria type 1 pH1, and it shows that early data uh shows a 70% reduction in urinary oxalate with promising safety. So basically, to sum it up, why it matters, it's basically, it's paving the way for gene editing treatments in inherited kidney diseases, if that makes
Okay.
sense. So that was something cool that I read today, and I just wanted to bring it up. I don't know if you've heard anything new on your end.
Well, I mean, I haven't heard anything new about that. I mean, the only thing that I've kind of been following, and it's still it was still years out, but truth be told, it's the only true way of like solving this problem for like a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, is like cloning
Mm-hmm.
kidneys, because like you can do the donation. Okay, it's great and fun. Okay, you can sit here and you can like use artificial kidneys or kidneys from other animals and stuff. Like if you could get that working, sure, that's fine. Those all come with their caveats. They all come with the inability to fully function without other problems, you know?
Yeah.
Like you have to sit here and like take the medications, and the medications cause side effects, and the side effects cause problems long term, and it's a whole rabbit hole, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if you can clone a kidney that matches your own DNA from the get-go, that would literally be, you could give somebody two fully functional kidneys that fully match their DNA,
Mm-hmm.
that their body can't reject, okay? Because they are their kidneys, you know?
Yeah. See,
And
go ahead.
it would be fully functional. That was the only way to that I always saw to sit here and get fully around this.
See, now that's all cool and dandy, but when you're talking about that, the first thing that goes into the back, to the back of my mind that comes up forward is the cost. can you imagine how expensive something like that would be? And do you feel like maybe it would be easily accessible for the public? I think stuff like that, when cloning gets involved, I feel like only certain, percentages of people are, even probably allowed to do stuff like that.
You say that, but to clarify, both dialysis and transplants are considered treatments. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
what is it? What is federal level? Medicare, Medicaid?
I think
I'm trying to think.
both of them.
No, one's state, one's federal. I'm just trying to sit here and keep
It's
track.
probably the Medicaid because that was the one that I've been
Okay.
seeing on the news a lot about getting fucking eliminated or something like that.
Okay, so the federal level one, that one, if you're one of the four ways to get on it, federal level, is if you're on dialysis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you have kidney problems. Another way is birth defect, so that I kind of double qualified. But the the best way to like for any dialysis patient, you're on dialysis, you qualify for federal, hands down, no questions
Okay,
asked.
I just Googled it. It says Medicare is primarily a federal program.
Yeah,
And it
okay. So
says
Medicaid.
while Medicaid is a joint federal and state program. So,
Okay. So Medicare is there's four different ways to get on it. One of which is being on dialysis. Dialysis is fully covered by federal. Okay. And the reason being is because when they cover it to keep you alive per year on dialysis, it's $250,000. Okay.
yeah.
To give you a transplant, which they will pay for, mind you,
It's like a
is
million, right?
$500,000.
Oh
It's a
shit.
half a million. Yeah, it's $500,000. So to put it in perspective, I was on dialysis for 8 years and then got a transplant. So that's $2 million over 8 years, plus another half million. So two and a half million for the 8 years that I was there,
Wow.
and some. So probably closer to three if we're going to be completely honest,
So let me ask
because
you this.
staph infections and everything else.
Are you ready for me to put on my tinfoil hat and
Go
talk
ahead.
about something? So I know a lot of people probably think about this. Maybe some. Maybe I'm the only weirdo who thinks about this. But do you feel that the reason why there hasn't been a kidney quote unquote cure and only treatments is because they make so much money off of us?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
You would believe that?
Yeah, I mean, well, think about it. Think about it. If both of them are treatments, okay,
Yeah.
not cures, treatments. Now, the federal government and state government both want to sit here and treat transplant as once you get one, you're cured.
Yeah.
Okay,
No.
it's if you read into the books, it doesn't make a lick of sense. Okay,
No.
and then this new kidney, we're going to circle back to this, but I'm going to finish my story. But we're going to so this new kidney law they put in place to sit here and help people. I think it was like 2 or 3 years ago. They sit here and implemented it, and it was really funny because I was asking my transplant, um, like my transplant hospitals, because I was in like 4 different hospitals at the time about it, because I kept asking the financial person and the social worker, and 3 of 4 hospitals had no clue what I was talking about.
No.
It blew my mind. And so it was something federally passed where even after transplant, if you could not sit here and if you did not qualify for Medicaid, Medicare anymore through disability or any other function, okay, and you did not qualify for the like health insurance, like marketplace health insurance,
Yeah.
due to how much you made money wise,
Mm-hmm.
you qualified for Medicare still. Okay. And you could get Medicare insurance. It did not pay in full, it did not make you whole. It only made you it paid like 70, maybe 80%. Okay. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, this could be good. However, caveat, I need to read the paperwork. So like I had a buddy of mine that was like reading into it. I was listening to him, he was reading into it. And it
Okay.
basically sat here and said you still had to pay a copay for Medicare. Okay. It was like a $200 or $300 copay. Okay. It only picked up 70 to 80% of it. You still had to pay the other amount for your medications, which to clarify is probably about $200 to $300 a month minimum. If you're on the three main medications for a transplant,
Mm-hmm.
And here's the other thing. It only paid for transplant medication. So only those 3 medications, paid for
The
nothing else. It did not pay for you to go to the hospital, in or outpatient. It did not pay for anything else. It only paid for those 3 medications. And you paid $200 or $300 a month, plus the $200 or $300 that it did not cover for those 3 medications, and that's all it covered. And I'm like, if you already poor enough to not be able to afford it, health insurance in the marketplace, what makes you think that it would make sense that you would have the money to afford $200 or $300 a month, plus $200 or $300 more as your copay part for your 3 medications? And I go, as a transplant patient, it makes no sense because it's a treatment option, which means you're going to need other sustainable, like health related things going on in the background, whether that be biopsies. So that's an outpatient procedure. Okay.
mm-hmm.
If you get sick, hospital, inpatient. Okay. If you need pharmacy stuff, but because those are not going to be the only 3 medications you're on. In a majority of cases, that is not the case.
No,
You're going to need more than those 3 medications.
of course. Yep.
Okay. And then it doesn't cover anything else. And you're still paying about as much as you would, if not more, than you would pay in the marketplace. But you can't afford marketplace insurance, or you don't qualify for marketplace insurance. So you're going to have to sit here and pay this other amount, which you probably can't afford either. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, no, it just sounds like, well, I mean, it doesn't sound, it is. I just feel like whenever somebody gets, ill like us and gets on dialysis and all these things, I feel like it's just a hole that you're digging yourself financially to just never be able to climb out of, like imagine being like, for example, for me, when I started dialysis, I was 28, and before that, I had like decent credit, and now my credit's fucking ass, like, and I can never, just from looking at everything and how just I'm always getting called by bill collectors and all this stuff, and I just don't. It's just like another nail in the coffin, right? Like just always getting fucking slammed by just the most randomest thing. It's like if the illness wasn't enough, now it's also the money. It's like, geez.
Yeah, and what kills me is it's not intentionally made in the thought process that you're going to be a young person trying to be an active participant in society.
No.
It's built on the fact you're 65 plus, you got a transplant, you're already, you already got 1 foot out the door, okay? You get a transplant and you're riding the system, till the coffin, okay? It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't look at it from our perspective, which pisses me off. And my thing is everybody sits here and goes, "Okay, you got a transplant now," because I've heard this too. Okay, it throws me for a loop. You got a
Oh yeah.
transplant now. You're gonna get a job and you're gonna be an active member
Oh
of
yep.
society. And I was
Yep.
like,
What?
I wish I could. I wish I could. I really wish I could.
I feel like a lot
I
of
was
people
like,
think that just us getting a kidney automatically means we go back to normal. And now we just like, okay, you got a kidney, you're young, go work your ass off, go make dues of it. It's like holy shit.
yeah,
For me especially, like I was on dialysis for 6 to 7 years, right? And when they told me, I asked them, it's like, hey, so the SSDI, like, how long do you get it? They're like, well, you get 1 year post transplant, and then after that, it kind of falls off. Like they call you, they check up on you, they're like, oh, you got a transplant, and then they're like, okay, well now find a job. And I was like, geez, it's like, how can somebody be just having this disease for so long, and then they tell you you got 1 year to kind of wrap it up and get going. It's like that's not enough time for somebody. I could imagine like if I was on dialysis for like a year and I got a kidney, I go back to my job and start taking it. But 6 7 years,
I mean,
and there's some people that are on it for longer, and then they're expected to kind of buckle everything up, and they're like, all right, go get them.
yeah, I don't get it either. And like I understand, like some people like they have the job opportunities and stuff that function, you know, and it's one of those things. I've always been very hands on. Okay, it requires me to have the energy to put forth. Okay,
Mm,
and which does not correlate well with dialysis. Okay, Like some people can sit behind a desk and do a desk job, all day every day. They can remote into work, um, and that some of them may already have a business, be entrepreneur, and everything
Mm-hmm.
kind of runs, and they just have to do some cookie clacking and some phone calls, and it runs itself. That's great. That means that you've got it either locked down and figured out before it happens, or you have already had the initial thought process. You may have seen this on the horizon, and you've already got your plan locked in place for you. You've
Mm-hmm.
you've done the financial figuring out. Okay. As somebody who's been in this since they were 13, okay, that would imply that I had this figured out when I was a kid.
Yeah. No way.
Okay. And the math don't be mathing. Okay, because
Mm-mm.
I don't know many people who can sit here and work. So at when I had my first transplant, I was working a minimum wage job. Okay, a little above minimum wage. I did get like maybe like $1 or two more raise. Okay, right before it ended up failing, but it was like $1,250 or something like that. Okay, so I was getting that per month, not per week, per month. Okay, I was still living at home because otherwise I definitely wouldn't have been able to sit here and survive. Okay. In 2016, my insurance was going to be almost $600 a month,
Holy.
$300 a month for medications, $100 for a copay, 250 I went if I had to go to the ER. And I'm like, and I understand normal people will have problems functioning off that amount of money, but I don't know how in the world somebody in our position is supposed to do it.
I mean, you tell me. Like I
That,
want to know people that, for example, for me, I used to work in, like I said many times, in the oil field, and it's such a like labor, waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, working 12 hours, 7 days a week, stuff like that. To be able to go back and do that again, no way in hell. It's like, what? First of all, the medication ain't gonna allow me. That freaking tacrolimus being out in the hot ass sun, even if you're covered up with sunscreen, you still gonna risk getting some skin cancer, right? It's
Mhm.
like, so now I have to go to school and get myself into more debt to be able to
Yep.
find some type of desk job where I can sit on my ass all day and type away so I don't fucking end up being broke or on the streets. It's like, can you believe how, jeez, it sucks,
I
you
know.
know?
I know. I'm the same way you are, and it doesn't make any sense. And I have asked multiple people who are doctors, social workers, nurses, financial people, all these other sorts of people. Like, how do you fix this problem? I've explained it exactly how I've explained it to you now, and this was before I even got my transplant, and they've all looked at me after I've explained it and freaked
Probably
them out
fucking
and sit here and
shrugged
said,
and they're like, I don't know.
they were like their mind was blown. A, and then B, they sit here and look at me and they go, "Well, we'll figure that out after you get your
Well,
transplant."
it's like, what? What do you mean after? It's like, we got to worry
Yeah,
about that now. It's like, what if
yeah,
after it doesn't, if I don't worry about yeah,
yeah. That don't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
they probably don't care about what happens after. They care about what happens now because the now is you
Yeah,
getting a transplant and them, working to make sure it happens right. And after that, it's kind of like, oh, well, we gave you the kidney. Now you figure it out for yourself.
yeah. I mean, they don't care. Truth be told, most hospitals don't care after the first year.
They're kind of like, well, they're stable or probably not.
No, 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 because the numbers are what they care about, and the numbers specifically from the 1 year mark,
Mm,
from transplant to first year, into first year, is what they really look at. Okay, so if that transplant fails in the first year, it makes them look bad on paper,
mm-hmm.
and so when that happens, it drops their numbers, and so that's why I think my hospital's like 97, 98 percentile for like successful transplants. So like if that kidney was to fail, that's why they're like so up your ass, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like You gotta be here for these appointments every single day. Like every week, every bi-weekly. Like the first 6 months are really crucial, and then they start slacking off and whatnot. And after year two, like into year two, they start slacking everything off. Is because they've got the good numbers now. If you go back on dialysis, okay, we'll give you another one at some point in time when one comes available, and we'll sit here and look after you really closely for the first year, and then good luck,
Yeah.
kind of situation.
Yeah.
It's such a messed up system.
And that's a lot.
But
You don't really find all that stuff out until like post, once you go through it and once you hear about it from other people. It's just like, dang.
yeah, and you're having to figure it out on your own, and then what gets me though. But so if we see her back up, so the whole cloning a kidney thing, okay,
Mm-hmm.
going back to that. If you clone a kidney, it matches your DNA. It can be put in you, and you don't have to take these medications. So now the drug companies are mad because you're not having to take medications. Okay, they're making a lot of money off transplant medication. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so and then it would actually be a cure, not a treatment, a straight up cure, no questions asked, because it would match your entire biological makeup where your body wouldn't attack it.
Yep.
And so it would be the actual first cure. I don't look for patchwork. So like there was a thing back sometime that somebody was sitting here coming up with. It was basically a functioning 24/7 kidney, artificial, that they put inside your body, and then
Mm-hmm.
every like month to 3 months or something like that, you would go in for surgery, and they would literally take the filter out and put a new filter in, and you would function with an artificial kidney that filtered 24/7 for the next 3 months, and then you go in every 3 months to get a new filter. And I'm like, this is what oil changes for transplant patients at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, wait a minute.
And I'm like, that sounds expensive. Like, why don't we sit
Yeah,
here and focus
shit.
all the budget onto actually curing a disease? Because that would make more sense.
Yeah, but it doesn't make sense to their wallet. They want to
Oh,
make more
100%.
money. Money.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
So
crazy.
that's my complaint with the whole system. Is like the federal and state government will pay out all this money, okay, to quote unquote fix you, okay, when it's still a treatment, okay, but they overlook those words, okay. So you're cured after transplant.
Yeah.
And instead it's a treatment option, when in reality it could be a cure that I could hop on board and say this is in fact a cure, okay.
Mm.
If they actually sit here and did the due diligence, because we've been able to clone, what was it? South Korea could clone a sheep back in the 90s. I remember that being a
Oh,
whole thing.
yeah. That
It's been
much.
25 years. You mean to tell me like we're just getting into the depths of it now, where we can actually make fully functional kidneys? Now, if we sit here and just take that a step further in the process and like make fully functional kidneys that can be transplanted, that match people's DNA and is grown in a lab to match you, okay, and it survive the rest of your life, okay, whatever that looks like. Even if you had to get a replacement, okay, let's just say you had to get a replacement, okay,
Mm.
all right, you could still kind of pre-plan that and grow one in advance, whatever that looks like timeline wise, and then implement it, okay. With that all being said, though, I fear that this would end up being like the movie Repo Men.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. Exactly. Yep.
That's the scariest movie to me in my entire life. I watched it. I feared for my life for days. Okay.
You don't pay for that kidney, we're coming after you and yoink it out of you.
Yeah, the movie messed me up. Okay. But yeah,
uh,
that's kind of like my thought process on it. I mean, like they don't ever want to fully fix you. They want to patchwork you
true.
into more problems, into more debt, into more financial instability. To me, it almost looks like they want to patch you, if you're not in a relationship, patch you into the ability where you start thinking, oh, do I even want to be in a relationship? Because that now it becomes a really big burden on a person later on. If you're in a relationship, you start thinking, oh, this is a really big burden on my entire family, whether that be your significant other or kids included in that. you know? And then it
Mm-hmm.
sits here and if you're in a relationship or you're not, you say you're single, then it sits here and like starts sprawling out into your family and friends group too, because they're like, hey, come do the holidays with us, and you got to go. I can't afford to do the holidays with you, you know. Like it cracks and spirals down into like the depths of the rock, the foundation, you know, of your entire human existence. And people don't look at it close enough to see the cracks that are in the foundation until it's too late.
Yep. That's a good one. I like that.
All right, sorry, I had to do the full circle back to concrete and uh, and coring samples.
No, I was actually reading something too. Um, we were talking about government and stuff like that, and apparently in what does this say? So a nephrology unit in once again, if I murk this name, it's in India, so I don't know how to pronounce it right, but it says Mysuru is supposed to get a permanent hospital infrastructure. And it says the nephrology unit established 8 years ago by the Institute of Nephrourology (INU) on the KR hospital premises is set to get a dedicated hospital building. The state government has sanctioned 14 million US dollars, but and this is it's actually 117.7 crow. I don't know the currency whatever they use, but it's what's it called, carried over to USD for us to be able to understand how much it is. $14 million for the construction of a permanent nephrology hospital on the PKTB hospital premises. So it looks like the government over there in India is fucking trying to help their people out, because it says here, with the government's approval, the building will soon be constructed on a 5-acre plot on the PKTB hospital campus on KRS Road in the city. The establishment of this center will help 69,000 kidney patients available for dialysis, facilitate kidney transplant, and address other health disorders. That's crazy. It's like, oh, shit. That's crazy. The more that I read about it, it's like they're really. I mean, I'm. I don't know. Maybe somebody listening from India could let us know. But you know how does the government kind of like help y'all out over there? Is there some people that feel like the government doesn't help? But according to the news, of course, the news is always going to be, you know, going to tell you the good things. But somebody not living there, might look at this and be like, oh, that's good, but only the people that really live there know what's going on. So that'd be some good stuff for people to kind of let us know how that's going. And they also said right here, India's first robotic kidney transplant in a government facility performed at GMCH. It says Government Medical College and Hospital in Nagpur successfully performed India's first robotic kidney transplant in a government medical facility. The surgery took place on July 30th at the GMCH Robotic Operation Theater and marks a giant leap in making world-class medical technology accessible to the masses. Dang. And it says the transplant was performed on a 38-year-old mother. The donor kidney was retrieved robotically from the mother. The same was transplanted into the son using the traditional open surgery method. Wait, open surgery? Traditional. Okay. I thought they meant like he was awake or something. I don't know why I understood it like that. Both the donor and the recipient are recovering well, with the mother set to be discharged on Saturday. So that was 2 days ago. Wow. Okay. So I guess this is gonna be so more and more people can get transplants in India. That's cool. Shit. Good stuff.
I would definitely recommend looking deeper into that
Yeah.
paperwork if that meets somebody who's listening to this right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know we have people from India who listen to the podcast, so if you guys can let us know how true that is, that'd be cool. Because if it is true, that's freaking awesome. That's gonna be a lot of support for you guys. That new big old hospital and then all this new technology that's gonna make it so where it's more accessible for people to get transplants and stuff like that. That's gonna be sick. But what else is going on, Nick? Tell me, talk to me. What else gonna randomly talk about for today, so people can listen up on it.
I was sitting here and doing some digging in this paperwork again and seeing if they had, updated the information on it at all.
Which
It
paper?
sounds about the same. The
Oh,
one that I was talking about that was passed in the United States
gotcha.
regarding Medicare.
Okay. Let's see what else is new. Continuing on, I know that you were right now you're going to school for culinary, right, for bake
Yeah, baking.
baking. So since you're in there right now, have you been kind of like implementing or thinking about like making some stuff for like people that are on dialysis or making it dialysis friendly?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a little bit harder than you think it'd be, but yeah.
How so? Want to
Um,
elaborate a little bit for people listening? Might
well,
be interested.
I've done some of my due diligence on this, and like quick breads, so like your biscuits, like a muffin and stuff like that, stuff that has chemical leaveners in it, like baking powder and baking soda, do not qualify as dialysis friendly. Okay, straight out the gate, because they're chemical leaveners, they have added phosphorus and potassium in them. Not fun. However, most breads, okay, are great. Like you can sit here and make baguettes from scratch at home. I highly recommend it. You only have 4 ingredients tied up in it. You have bread flour, and you can sit here and you can go as deep as you want to down that rabbit hole. Okay, bread flour. You can sit here and do a little bit of water, salt, and yeast, commercial yeast, and none of that is chemical leavener. Um, you can even sit here and do sourdoughs, and that's even better because that's natural yeast, not commercial, and make your own sourdoughs. Okay,
Hmm.
and I can't do sourdoughs worth crap. Okay, I'm just gonna be I'm front up and tell you. Okay, every sourdough I've touched is well every sourdough that I've had to raise died, and I've had to um John Senior and John Junior both died in a very horrific um, refrigeration accident where they didn't get fed for a couple of days, turned different colors and died. But and the bodies had to be disposed of in the garbage.
Jeez.
Uh, but I can do other breads fairly well, and so that's like one thing. And like another thing is like, so my father recently he's diabetic, type 2 diabetic, and he also recently had heart surgery. And so I've been looking like how to cook him something for his birthday, which was recent, within the past week or so. And I wanted to cook something that had very little sugar in it or a sugar substitute. Um, I wanted to see here make sure it had very little salt in it, if any at all, and it needed to be very low in saturated fat. And so I sit here and made him it was a lemon yogurt no bake cheesecake on top of a pecan tart. So it was like a pecan crust bottom made from scratch with this no bake lemon cheesecake made with yogurt and cream cheese and whatnot that was low fat on top of it. And then it had fresh fruit cut up and put on top, and then an apricot jam that was low in sugar.
Oh wow.
And I had substituted the sugar out. I should have used allulose, which is like very low in sugar in comparison, as a quality substitute, and is like a newer thing that has come onto the market. But I ended up using monk fruit. And every diabetic works very differently. Like their body works differently with all these sugar substitutes. So you kind of have to like pick and choose your battle, like with what works and doesn't work for you.
Hmm.
Um, and then and my father tried to fight with me and sit here and say, "Well, I can't eat the fruit because it has sugar in it." I'm like, "Okay, let me explain this. So you can have fruit, okay? There's not a problem with fruit, okay? Fruit has fructose, which is a sugar, okay?
Hmm.
Yes, you're correct, okay? Granulated sugar, so the sugar out of your pantry, okay, per gram of sugar. Okay, to put this in perspective, it's like 28.36 grams equal an ounce. Okay, of sugar, and most time you're gonna sit here and use a, a at least an ounce or two in a dish, to sweeten something. So like that's kind of a lot. Granulated sugar is made up of a mixture of fructose and glucose. Okay. But the amount of fructose that is in a piece of fruit, because fruit also has other things like fiber and other things like that that help contribute to helping it move through your system faster. Granulated sugar is like for every 1 gram of granulated sugar, which isn't much, it's like a few crystals, it has fructose and glucose mixed together, and it is strictly that. So your body has to break down both of those together, and it doesn't have anything else with it unless you add it to something. And so there's like tons of problems there, and it's four calories per gram of granulated sugar. But the fruit, on the other hand, I'm not saying it doesn't have sugar, but it's in a more natural state that your body can see and break down easily because it understands what that is. And so it doesn't linger like the granulated sugar does.
Hmm. Okay. So that makes it really good for shit to prevent a lot of things.
Yeah, and so like I've took nutrition here recently, so like I can like read the back of a label and kind of understand it and whatnot and break it down a little bit easier. Um, and so yeah, I mean, did I add a little bit of touch of salt in there? Yeah, it's flavor. There's a reason you add salt to things. Did I add like monk fruit sugar instead of like actual sugar? Yes, clearly there's a reason for that. He's a diabetic. Did I sit here and go with more fat-free or reduced fat dairy products like the yogurt and the cream cheese? Yes. Did I flavor it with more natural flavors? Yes, because then you don't have all these extra additives in there. Like there's tons of ways to like fix things and do things and whatnot.
Gotcha. That's good. So now that you say you study nutrition and stuff, what do you think is like some of the most overseen or overlooked things by people on dialysis whenever they're trying to find like a good healthy meal, or when they're trying to like, watch the bad stuff so it doesn't make it worse for them on dialysis?
Well, so people they don't really teach you on in the dialysis clinics like what's good or bad. They just kind of be like, these are bad, these are good. Eat those, don't eat those. Eat these in moderation, don't eat those in moderation. And so people get hung in this like thought process of like tomatoes and things are bad. I'm not sitting here saying they aren't, but it's a situation where you have to understand like how phosphorus is in everything and how your body absorbs it in the percentages it does. So like vegetables and fruits are like 40%. Lean meats are closer to 70% that you're going to absorb from the phosphorus. More red meats are like 80%, and processed things are 90 to like 100% in most cases of what you're going to absorb phosphorus wise.
Hmm.
And so that's like a good way of looking at things. Understanding that, how sugar and your prednisone and stuff function with transplant medications is a different one, and all these other sorts of things.
Talking about you mentioned prednisone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's one of the things that I always see people complain about for prednisone is whenever they get it stuck in their throat or in their mouth and it gives them that super bad taste in their mouth. Have you ever
Uh,
had that happen to you?
oh, yeah. Tons of times.
I remember I remember one time I took it and I took my morning pills in the morning, and I always usually have like a cup of water or my jug of water next to me. And
Yeah.
I didn't that morning, so I was lazy and I was like, you know what? I never have a difficulty of just putting the pills in my mouth and swallowing them.
Mm-hmm.
So that morning I swallowed them, and I guess I don't know when I went back to sleep after eating them, taking them. I guess I sat or had my neck in a certain situation, certain like position where the prednisone got stuck in my throat, and it was like giving me that horrible taste, and it felt like my throat was burning for the rest of the day. That
Mm-hmm.
shit sucks. I know a lot of people in the community complain about that. So I don't know. I heard prednisone, and that was like the first thing, like it made me kind of give me the icks about it.
Oh yeah, that's a horrible taste, and it's hard to get it out of your mouth afterwards. Like it's gonna take like 5 to 10 minutes, and you're gonna have to eat something very potent to get it out.
No, for
It's
real.
no
I
joke.
mean, it isn't. It sucks. But before we end the episode, is there anything you want to kind of shoot my way, or talk about something before we call it
Uh,
call it a day?
no, no, not that I can think of at the moment.
Well, okay. Then it sounds like we are done for the week. Hopefully, a lot of you guys listened in, and kind of, let us know if you enjoy it. The kind of like the random, conversations, the random subjects type of feel, or if you prefer kind of us having a subject, every week, leave it in the comments on Spotify, or leave a comment in a TikTok, or wherever you can find it easily accessible. Let us know, because we we like to hear our people. We're here for everybody. We're here, for people that are barely going through dialysis, or people that are on dialysis, or people post-transplant. So any type of information would be appreciated, because it makes us better, and it makes everybody else better too, with all the information they're intaking, and they get to learn something new too. So next week we're going to be back on track with, depending on what we hear back from people, we're going to get back on track on the subject talked. Like I mentioned, on TikTok today, we had to reschedule from our regular Saturday programmings, because I had a little in-life emergency, but it got all handled now, and we're back on track. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let us know. Like I said, we will catch you guys next week, and until then, remember that dialysis filters your blood, but it doesn't filter your voice. Be your own self-advocate. Speak for yourself, because nobody's going to care more than you do you. So until then, peace.